So good morning, Mr. Sher. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Great, thank you. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about this conference and the recent negotiations between Hamas and Fatah and how that might perhaps affect Israel and our security situation.
In terms of the reconciliation process between Hamas and Fatah, it seems to be kind of a standstill. It's not really moving forward, but it's not moving backwards. So perhaps we will, in the future, find a unified Palestinian representation. This is not the case as of yet.
And if we do see that unified Palestinian front, I guess you can say, will that have a good effect on our security? Will that have a negative effect on our security? How will that go forward?
I believe that the natural course of evolvement here would be that it improves the security situation because it actually allocates more responsibility on the governing side to the Palestinian Authority rather than to Hamas, which for the time being is the sovereign in Gaza for all practical purposes. So I believe that yes, it will contribute to improve the situation in general and the security atmosphere in particular.
And what about Egypt's role in this? I mean, Egypt and Israel have, our relations are pretty good, especially under Sisi, and especially when it comes to the Sinai Peninsula, which is very dangerous both to Egypt and also to Israel's security. But the recent tunnel that the IDF neutralized the other week, that was a Hamas tunnel built into Sinai. Will that have an effect on Egypt's role as a negotiator, on the trust that they have between the two?
I believe that Egypt's role is central, essential, and indispensable in the context of the developments in the Middle East, current developments in the Middle East, and with the Palestinians in particular. I believe that currently our interlocutors should be, for Israel, should be first and foremost Egypt, and then Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the Emirates, because this, what we call the Arab Quartet, is becoming a more collaborative environment for Israel due to the common concerns that we have vis-à-vis Iran, vis-à-vis radical Islamism, and vis-à-vis other problems that we have, namely related to fundamentalist Islam and to security. So in the context of the Palestinian arena, it has been proved in the past that Egypt is very central to the reconciliation process between Fatah, Hamas, and the other factions.
And what about the American role in this? The American role is essential when it comes to the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians. Do you think that the Americans and under Trump should have a greater role between the reconciliation between the two groups, or will that really stay, like you said, with Egypt being the central group?
I don't think that any of these should be mutually exclusive. I believe that we need a robust American effort that would lead the international community or the quartet. I mean, America, Russia, the EU, and the UN. And we also need a regional effort that would provide a kind of a platform or a track for moving forward in order to not towards reconciliation, but towards changing or reversing the trend towards the one binational state and making it possible to eventually have two nation states between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea.
And do you think that that Trump's statement on Jerusalem, his recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, the Palestinians have said, we're not going to speak to you until Jerusalem is recognized also as a Palestinian capital. So what is the way forward with that? Because right now we seem to be at a standstill.
Well, we've heard the Special Envoy Jason Greenblatt yesterday evening here in a closed session, the INSS. And what he said is, the United States has stated the obvious, which is Jerusalem has been the capital of the Jewish people for thousands of years now, and it has been the unequivocal capital of the state of Israel in the last 70 years. This has not changed. It was just stated. This does not impose any imposed agreement or statement over the resolution of the issue of Jerusalem as one of the core issues that are the contested core issues or the contentious core issues between Israel and the Palestinians to be resolved in the future as the permanent status core issues. So it is open to negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians, but the fact that Jerusalem has been, still is, and will be the capital of Israel is not to be contested.
And do you think that Trump is able to make that ultimate deal between the Israelis and Palestinians? Is he that man? Or do you think that there are other people that would have a better chance of making that deal?
It's not a question of who is the leader who will bear the responsibility to carry this chariot forward, okay? But he sure strikes a chance to change the reality towards a reality of two states for two people if he imposes a process over the parties, not a solution, but imposes a process of negotiations both on the regional level, on the bilateral level, and encourage, alongside these efforts, independent, constructive steps that could create this reality and preserve the conditions for a two-state solution to eventually be attained throughout negotiations.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.